When I touch you, the word you'll scream is mine.
You think because you're a senator's son, you people think you can bulldoze through our work, spill drinks on us, and expect us to smile while you do it. I've read your articles, Mr. Choi.
When I touch you, the word you'll scream is mine.
His body trapped hers against the wine cellar wall. Darkness everywhere, her heart pounding so loud she swore he could hear it. You think because you're a senator's son, you can just... When I touch you, his voice dropped, dangerous. The word you'll scream is mine. Their collision. Champagne ruining her dress, her destroying him in front of everyone. This moment, his hand on her waist, everything shifting. She came to change the world. He came to expose secrets. Neither expected to burn. The lights flickered on. Lovies! Welcome to Afro-Seoul TV, where we bring you stories that exist between two worlds beyond all borders. If you're ready for a tearjerker, a heartbreaker, and an absolute game changer, you're in the right place. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Let's see how far this explosive love story travels. Now let's dive into the chaos. 4 hours earlier. Girl, you look incredible, Tundiwe said, linking her arm through Naletti's as they approached the South African embassy entrance. Naledi smoothed down her emerald dress one more time. The silk clung to every curve, and for once she felt powerful instead of exhausted. I feel overdressed. You look like you own this entire city. Now come on, let's network before the speeches start, and I lose my nerve completely. The ballroom took Naletti's breath away. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across marble floors. Diplomats in elegant suits, politicians working the room. World Bank officials clustered in expensive circles. This was power. This was where decisions got made over champagne and small talk. Naledi grabbed a flute from a passing waiter and took a long sip. She hated these events with everything in her. 3 months tracking $50 million missing dollars in development funds, and instead of working, she was stuck here smiling at people who probably knew exactly where that money went. Dr. Kumalo, a South African diplomat she'd met once, waved from across the room. Come, there's someone you should meet. Naledi pasted on her professional smile and started weaving through the crowd. That's when someone backed into her. Hard. Champagne erupted from his glass in a perfect arc, splashing cold across her chest, soaking through silk, dripping down her stomach and legs. She gasped, looking down at the ruined dress in complete shock. My apologies. His voice was smooth, almost bored. She looked up into the most arrogant face she'd ever seen. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that looked right through her, black hair styled perfectly, expensive suit that screamed money and privilege, and that expression, like he'd just stepped on something mildly inconvenient rather than destroyed a woman's dress. River Choi. She recognized him instantly. Senator's son turned journalist, Washington Herald's supposed rising star. She'd read his articles on African aid, those infuriating pieces that sounded sympathetic but completely missed every real issue. Something inside her snapped. Typical entitled American journalist. Her voice carried across the ballroom. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Heads turned. Everyone was watching now. You people think you can bulldoze through our work, spill drinks on us, and expect us to smile while you do it. I've read your articles, Mr. Choi. Shallow, sensationalist garbage designed for clicks, while people who actually understand the issues do the real work. The ballroom went completely silent. Even the string quartet seemed to falter. River's jaw clenched. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Anger, yes, but something else too. Something that looked almost like hunger. Careful, beautiful. His voice dropped low. Meant just for her, even though half the room was straining to hear. You just made a very dangerous enemy. I don't fear little boys playing journalist. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile, something sharper. Predatory. We'll see about that. He held her gaze for another heartbeat, and Naledi felt heat flood through her despite the cold champagne soaking her dress. Then he turned and walked away, leaving her standing there dripping while everyone whispered behind their hands. "Oh my God!" Tandiv materialized at her elbow, eyes huge. "Girl, do you have any idea what you just did? Called out an arrogant journalist for being exactly what he is? That's River Choi, Senator James Choi's son. He's the one who exposed that pharmaceutical price-fixing scandal last year, got nominated for a Peabody, and you just publicly destroyed him in front of half of Washington's power players. Good. Maybe next time he'll watch where he's still watching you," Tandewe interrupted, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Right now, he hasn't looked away since he walked to the other side of the room." Naledi's eyes found him automatically, against her better judgment. He was across the ballroom, champagne glass in hand, supposedly listening to a congressman. But his attention was entirely on her. When their gazes locked, the corner of his mouth lifted in a small, private challenge. Her pulse kicked up despite herself. "I need to find a bathroom," Naledi muttered, pulling her eyes away with effort. "This dress is ruined. There's a coat check. Maybe they have something. I'll figure it out." She escaped to the bathroom, grateful for a moment alone. In the mirror, she looked like a disaster. Champagne stains across her chest and stomach, the emerald silk clinging uncomfortably, her carefully done makeup starting to smudge from stress. "Oh, perfect," she muttered. "Absolutely perfect." When she returned to the ballroom 20 minutes later, dress still ruined but at least no longer dripping, she tried to focus on why she was actually here. Networking, making connections that might help her investigation, doing her job. But every time she looked up, there he was, watching her, not even pretending to pay attention to his conversations, just watching with an intensity that made her skin feel too tight, made her aware of every breath she took. It was infuriating. It was also making her pulse race in a way she absolutely hated. "You're doing that thing," Tandiwe said, appearing with fresh champagne. "What thing?" "That thing where you pretend you're not aware of him staring at you while also checking exactly where he is every 30 seconds. I am not... Girl, the sexual tension between you two is so thick I could cut it with a knife. Everyone can feel it. There's no sexual tension. There's just regular tension because he's an arrogant ass who ruined my dress." Keep telling yourself that. Naledi was about to respond when the lights cut out. The entire ballroom plunged into darkness. People gasped. Someone laughed nervously. The string quartet stopped mid-note. "Please remain calm," a security guard's voice called out. "We're working on the backup generators. Everything is under control." In the confusion and darkness, Naledi felt someone's hand wrap around hers. She knew immediately. Knew before he spoke, before he moved, before anything. She knew from the way electricity sparked where their skin touched, from the way her body recognized his presence before her mind caught up. "Come with me." River's breath was warm against her ear, his voice low and intimate in the darkness. She should say no, should pull away, should find Thandiwe and get out of here before she did something catastrophically stupid. "Where?" she heard herself whisper instead. "Somewhere we can actually talk without an audience." His hand tightened around hers, and she let him lead her through the darkness. Past confused diplomats and nervous politicians, around security guards calling for calm, down a hallway and then downstairs she navigated purely by touch and trust. A door opened, closed behind them. The air changed, cooler, closer, smelling of oak and aged wine. "Where are we?" "Wine cellar. Embassy keeps their private collection down here." His voice came from directly in front of her in the absolute darkness. "We're alone." "That's what I'm afraid of." "Liar." She heard him move closer. Felt his body heat even though they weren't touching. "If you were afraid, you wouldn't have come with me. Maybe I wanted to yell at you somewhere without witnesses. Then yell." Closer now. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle that made her want to lean in. "Tell me why you're really so angry. You spilled champagne all over me." "That's not it." His hand found her waist in the darkness, settling there like it belonged. That's the excuse. What's the real reason you destroyed me up there? Her breath caught at his touch. You don't know anything about me. I know you're brilliant. I know you work at the World Bank analyzing development funds. I know you've published 3 papers in the last year that actually matter. I know you came here from South Africa 4 years ago for reasons you don't talk about publicly. His thumb traced slow circles on her hip through the damp silk. And I know you read my work and saw straight through it, saw that I'm capable of better, and you're furious that I'm wasting my platform. She couldn't see his face in the darkness, but she could hear the honesty in his voice, the self-awareness. How do you know all that about me? Because I looked you up the second you walked into that ballroom. Because you were the most captivating person there, and I wanted to know everything. And then I ruined your dress like an idiot. Despite everything, she almost smiled. You really are an ass. Completely, but I'm an honest ass. His other hand came up, cupping her face in the darkness. Tell me you didn't feel it too. Upstairs, before I spilled anything, when our eyes met. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar, he breathed, and she felt his face move closer. Your pulse is racing. I can feel it under my fingers. That's because you dragged me into a wine cellar in the dark like some kind of stalker. You followed me willingly. I'm rethinking that decision. No, you're not. His voice dropped even lower, intimate and certain. You're thinking about what happens if I kiss you right now. If I back you against one of these walls and show you exactly what I've been thinking since the moment I saw you. Her breathing had gone shallow. You're very sure of yourself. When I touch you, he whispered, his lips so close to hers she could almost taste him. The word you'll scream is mine. Her champagne glass slipped from nerveless fingers, shattering somewhere in the darkness between them. She couldn't think, couldn't breathe, could only feel his hand on her waist, his thumb tracing fire across her hip, his breath ghosting across her mouth, the absolute certainty in his promise. You're insane, she managed. Probably. Is it working? Before she could answer, before she could close the distance or push him away or do anything at all, the lights flickered back on. They jumped apart, blinking in the sudden harsh fluorescence. River looked exactly how she felt, disheveled, breathing hard, eyes dark with want. His hair was mussed where she didn't remember touching it. His tie was crooked. We should go back, she said, her voice not quite steady. Should we? He didn't move. Neither did she. The moment stretched between them, thick with everything that almost had happened. Finally, Naledi turned and headed for the stairs. Her legs felt unsteady. Her heart was still racing. River followed. At the top of the stairs, right before they would have emerged back into the ballroom where everyone could see them, he caught her wrist. Have coffee with me, tomorrow. Absolutely not. Breakfast then. Lunch. 5 minutes in the most crowded Starbucks in D.C. where I can't possibly back you against any walls. Despite everything, despite every reason this was dangerous and stupid, her lips twitched. You don't give up, do you? Not when it matters. His thumb traced the inside of her wrist, finding her pulse. You're the most fascinating person I've met in 5 years in this city. The least you can do is let me apologize properly over coffee. I have real work to do, the kind that actually matters. So do I. We can work separately, in the same space, occasionally look up to glare at each other. Very professional, very productive. She shouldn't laugh, shouldn't feel this dangerous pull toward him. One coffee, she heard herself say. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., busboys and poets on 14th Street. If you're 1 minute late, I'm gone. His smile was absolutely devastating. I'll be there at 8:45. And River, she drew herself up to her full height, meeting his eyes with all the steel she'd learned to carry. If you think this is going to be easy, if you think I'm some naive girl who'll be impressed by your name or your connections, you're very wrong. Good. His voice dropped to something rough and honest. I don't want easy. I want you. The certainty in those 3 words sent heat flooding through her entire body. She pulled away before she did something catastrophically stupid, like kiss him right there, walked back into the gala without looking back. She didn't need to look. She could feel his eyes on her with every single step. There you are! Thandiwe grabbed her arm the second she emerged. Where did you disappear to? The lights came back on and you were just gone. I needed some air. Uh-huh. And does this need for air have anything to do with the fact that Senator Choi's son has been staring at the stairwell you just came out of for the past 5 minutes? Naledi found him automatically. He was back in conversation with the same congressman, but his eyes tracked her across the room. When their gazes met, he raised his champagne glass in a small, private toast. The absolute nerve of the man. It's nothing, she told Thandiwe, taking a long drink from the fresh champagne flute her friend offered. Honey, that's not nothing. That's a man who just decided you're his and is now just waiting for you to catch up to that fact. He can decide whatever he wants. I'm not interested in being some journalist's exotic fling. But even as she said it, she touched her waist where his hand had been. Even as she dismissed it, she knew with absolute certainty that she'd be at that coffee shop tomorrow at 9 a.m. Because River Choi might be arrogant and entitled, and absolutely the wrong man to get tangled up with in a city where her professional reputation was everything. But he was also the first person in 3 years who'd looked at her and seen Naledi instead of Dr. Kumalo, the policy analyst, the brilliant African woman with impressive credentials. Just Naledi. And that was more dangerous than any wine cellar. The gala finally ended at midnight. Naledi caught an Uber back to her Adams Morgan apartment, her ruined dress and racing heart the only evidence that tonight had been anything other than another mandatory networking event. In her tiny bathroom, she peeled off the emerald silk and stood in just her underwear, studying her reflection. Champagne stains everywhere, her makeup smudged, her hair coming loose from its careful style. Evidence that it had all actually happened. Her phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. I got your number from the embassy guest list. That's either romantic or firmly in restraining order territory, and I'm really hoping it's the former. Sleep well, Naledi. I'll see you at 8:45 tomorrow. River, she should block the number immediately. Should report him, should do literally anything except smile at her phone like a teenager. Instead, she saved his contact and climbed into bed. Her mind raced. This was stupid, dangerous. Getting involved with a journalist while she was investigating missing development funds was asking for complications she didn't need. But she couldn't stop thinking about his voice in the darkness, the way he touched her waist like he had every right. The promise in his words, when I touch you, the word you'll scream is mine. She fell asleep to that voice echoing in her head. Across town, River Choi stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows in his Navy Yard loft, staring out at the Anacostia River glittering under moonlight. He should be working on his congressional corruption piece, should be reviewing notes for tomorrow's whistleblower interview. Instead, all he could think about was emerald silk and a woman who'd seen straight through every defense he'd spent 5 years building. His phone rang. His father, Senator James Choi. River sent it to voicemail without hesitation. 2 minutes later, his editor called. I heard you made quite the scene at the embassy gala tonight, Dimitri said without preamble. River smiled despite himself. Just research. Research for what exactly? How to publicly humiliate yourself. I've had 4 calls already. Your father's chief of staff wants to know what the hell happened. I spilled champagne on the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. She called me shallow and entitled in front of half of Washington. Then I took her to a wine cellar during a power outage and almost kissed her before the lights came back on. Long silence on the other end. Please tell me you're joking. I really wish I was. I'm having coffee with her tomorrow morning at 9. River. I know. Bad idea. Potential complications. Possible conflict of interest if she's involved in anything I might need to cover. I've heard it all before. He turned from the window. But Dimitri? I think I just met someone who's going to change everything. Your future or your next spectacular disaster. Possibly both. Probably both. Definitely worth it either way. After hanging up, River pulled out his laptop. He should research her properly. Should be smart about this. But every time he tried to focus on the words on the screen, all he could think about was the way she'd gasped when he touched her waist, the way her pulse had raced under his fingertips, the way she'd looked at him in that wine cellar like she wanted to murder him and kiss him in equal measure. Tomorrow at 8:45 couldn't come fast enough. At 3 a.m, Naledi gave up entirely on sleep. She opened her laptop, telling herself she needed to know who she was dealing with, needed information, needed to be smart about this. What she found surprised her. River Choi wasn't the shallow journalist she'd accused him of being, not even close. Real investigative work. Pharmaceutical companies fixing prices at the expense of patient care. City officials taking kickbacks on construction contracts. Housing discrimination that had been ignored for decades. Important work that mattered. She'd been completely wrong about him. Her phone buzzed. Can't sleep either? I keep thinking about emerald silk and the way you looked at me in that wine cellar like you couldn't decide whether to slap me or kiss me. Tomorrow can't come fast enough. She should ignore it. Should maintain professional boundaries. Her fingers moved before her brain could stop them. If you think one coffee means I've forgiven you for ruining my dress, you're delusional. But I'm curious about something. Why journalism? You had other options. Better options, some would say. His response came within seconds. Because the law protects power. Journalism exposes it. I've seen what happens when power goes unchecked. I'd rather hold the flashlight in dark places than help powerful people hide in shadows. Why World Bank? You could make 3 times your salary in private consulting. She smiled despite herself. Because money doesn't interest me. Justice does. Someone has to make sure development funds actually reach the people they're meant to help instead of disappearing into the pockets of politicians who see Africa as a resource to exploit. There's that fire. I was hoping I didn't imagine it. You didn't imagine anything. I'm exactly this difficult all the time. Good. I don't want easy. I want someone who'll challenge me and call me on my bullshit and refuse to be impressed by any of the superficial nonsense this city trades in like currency. You want a lot from someone you met 6 hours ago. Oh, I know what I want when I see it. Always have. It's gotten me in trouble before. It'll probably get me in serious trouble again. But Naledi, you're worth whatever trouble is coming. She should stop, should put down the phone, should remember tomorrow was just coffee. 8:45. Don't be late. I'm already counting every minute. Sleep well, beautiful. Dream of wine cellars and all the things I didn't get to do to you in the darkness. She threw her phone across the room, her face burning. The absolute audacity. But she was smiling as she finally closed her laptop and tried one more time to sleep. River woke at 7, showered quickly, and was out the door by 8. He stopped at a florist 3 blocks from the coffee shop, selecting a single white orchid in an elegant ceramic pot. The card he wrote in his own handwriting, for everything I'm about to ruin. Or he was at Bus Boys and Poets by 8:30, claimed a corner table with good light and a clear view of the door, ordered 2 coffees. At 8:44, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Check your mailbox when you get home tonight. You're playing with fire you don't understand. River frowned at the screen. Wrong number? Some kind of spam? But something about the phrasing made his journalist instincts tingle with warning. Before he could process it, the door opened. Naledi walked in. Dark jeans that should have been casual but looked elegant on her. Cream silk blouse, natural hair pulled back, minimal makeup, small gold earrings. Somehow even more devastating than last night because this was real. This was her. Their eyes met across the coffee shop. She smiled. Small, cautious, but genuine. River stood, his heart doing something complicated and terrifying in his chest. His phone buzzed again. He glanced down automatically. A photo loaded. Naledi in a parking garage, handing a manila envelope to someone whose face was deliberately turned away. Timestamp, 2 nights ago, 11:47 p.m. Another message. She's not who you think. Dig deeper or become collateral damage. This is your only warning. River's hand tightened around his phone hard enough to hear the case crack. He looked up. Naledi was walking toward him, that cautious smile still in place, completely unaware that someone was watching her, photographing her, threatening her, using her as leverage against him. You actually came early, she said, reaching his table. Her voice was warm, slightly teasing. I'm impressed. Most men treat 9 a.m. as more of a suggestion. River forced himself to smile, to slip his phone into his pocket, to be present. I'm not most men. No. Her eyes searched his face and he wondered what she saw there. I'm starting to figure that out. The phone in his pocket felt like it was burning. What the hell had he just walked into? So, Naledi said, sliding into the seat across from him. You brought me a flower? The white orchid sat between them, elegant in its simplicity. I ruined your dress. Seemed only fair to make amends. River pushed one of the coffees toward her. Black, no sugar. Am I right? She took a sip. Perfect. Lucky guess. Not luck. Observation. You strike me as someone who doesn't waste time on unnecessary sweetness. And you strike me as someone who thinks reading people makes you clever. His smile was slow, dangerous. Doesn't it? Despite herself, her lips twitched. Tell me why I'm here, River, and don't say to apologize for champagne. Because you couldn't stop thinking about me any more than I could stop thinking about you. Arrogant. Honest. He leaned forward. You want to know who I am? Really am? Not the senator's son, not the journalist with the famous last name. Just me. Do I? Yes, because I want to know you, the woman who left her country, who works herself to exhaustion chasing justice nobody else cares about. The woman who's been alone so long she's forgotten what it feels like to let someone in. Her breath caught. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me. We have time, 3 hours, maybe more if you're willing. She should leave, should maintain distance, but something in his eyes made her stay. Okay, 3 hours, but I ask questions too. Deal. They talked and talked and talked. He told her about his mother, a Korean immigrant who'd worked her way from nothing to become one of Washington's most respected policy advisors, about watching her be destroyed by a political scandal, seeing her reputation shredded by people who'd smiled at her the week before, about finding her body when he was 21. That's why you became a journalist, Naledi said softly, to fight the system that killed her. And why I've been failing at it, because actually fighting means risking everything. Easier to write safe pieces that sound important, but don't actually threaten anyone. Until yesterday. Until you called me on my bullshit in front of everyone who matters. His eyes held hers. You reminded me why I started. What's worth risking? Her turn. She told him about Amali, her baby sister who'd wanted to be a geologist, who died in a mining collapse that shouldn't have happened. About spending 2 years building a case against the company, gathering evidence of every safety violation, every bribed inspector. And when I went public, they made sure the investigation disappeared, made sure I understood what would happen if I kept pushing. Her voice was quiet. 2 attempts on my life in 3 months. The second one, I was in the hospital for a week. That's when I knew I had to leave or end up like Amali. River's hand covered hers on the table. So you came here and promised myself I'd never stop fighting, just from a safer distance. She looked up at him. But sometimes safe distance means nothing actually changes, which is why you're tracking $50 million in missing development funds. Her eyes went wide. She pulled her hand back. How do you know about that? Because I'm tracking the same money. He pulled out his phone, showed her documents. Congressional appropriations that never reached their intended recipients. 4 months I've been following the paper trail. It leads back to senators, contractors, shell companies registered in the Caymans. Her heart pounded. That's classified information. How did you access? I have sources, good ones who trust me to do something with what they risk everything to provide. He leaned forward. Naledi, we're chasing the same story. We need to work together. Absolutely not. I can't be seen collaborating with press while conducting an official investigation. Then we work separately, but share information. pool our resources without officially partnering. His eyes were intense. Because whoever is behind this has been covering their tracks for years. Alone, we'll hit the same dead ends we've been hitting for months. Together, we might actually break through. She wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain professional boundaries and protocols and all the things that kept her safe. But he was right. 4 months of dead ends. 4 months of watching that money stay lost while people who needed it suffered. One condition. Nothing I share goes public until my official investigation is complete. I won't have my work compromised by premature headlines chasing clicks. Agreed. And my condition, you stop pretending there's nothing between us. Heat flooded through her. There's nothing. Liar. He stood, held out his hand. Come on. My apartment is 10 minutes from here. I have files, documents, a whole wall dedicated to this investigation. You need to see what I found. Your apartment? I have a home office, completely professional setup. Unless you're afraid of being alone with me. Pride made her stand. I'm not afraid of anything. Prove it. They walked to his Navy Yard loft in charged silence. Every accidental brush of shoulders sent electricity through her. Every time she caught him looking, her pulse kicked higher. This was dangerous, stupid, everything she shouldn't be doing. His apartment stunned her. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Anacostia River, exposed brick, modern furniture, and one entire wall covered in bulletin boards, photos, documents, red string connecting everything. You really are investigating this, she breathed, moving closer to examine his work. Did you think I was lying? He was right behind her, close enough to feel his body heat. No, She touched one of the photos, a shell company logo. This is the same dead end I hit. Cayman Holding Company that owns the trust receiving the development funds. Look closer. He reached past her, pointing to a document pinned beside it. The trust is managed by Livingston and Hayes. That's a law firm representing half the Senate, including my father. Their eyes met. The implications hung heavy between them. Your father wouldn't, she started. Wouldn't he? River's voice was tight. He spent 30 years building power and protecting it. $50 million buys a lot of power. We don't have proof he's involved. Not yet, but we need to find out. He moved to his laptop. I have a source at Livingston and Hayes, junior associate who's been feeding me information. She might be able to identify the trust beneficiaries. That could take weeks or hours if we push the right way. He glanced at her. You any good with financial forensics? I have a PhD in development economics. What do you think? His smile was devastating. I think we're going to make a hell of a team. They worked. Hours blurred together, comparing notes, building connections, following money trails that twisted through dozens of shell companies and offshore accounts. Coffee turned into lunch delivery. Lunch turned into Thai takeout for dinner. Somewhere around 9 p.m., Naledi looked up from her laptop and caught River staring at her. What? She touched her face self-consciously. Do I have food somewhere? No. You just do this thing when you're concentrating. Your nose scrunches up when you hit a dead end. Heat crept up her neck. Stop watching me. Can't. He stood, moved around the coffee table to where she sat. You're too fascinating to ignore. River. Do you know what I've been thinking about for the past 3 hours? Hopefully the same financial fraud I've been thinking about. That's maybe 20% of my mental capacity. He sat beside her. Close. Too close. The other 80% is thinking about kissing you, about finishing what we started in that wine cellar. Her breath caught. That's a terrible idea. Probably the worst idea I've had all week. His hand cupped her face. Tell me to stop. She should be smart, should remember all the reasons this was dangerous. Instead, her fingers fisted in his shirt. Don't stop. He kissed her. The world exploded. Years of loneliness, of keeping everyone at arm's length, of forgetting what it felt like to be touched by someone who saw her. All of it shattered in that single moment. His hands were in her hair. Her fingers dug into his shoulders. He tasted like Thai food and coffee and something uniquely him that made her head spin. He pushed her back against the couch, his body covering hers. One hand slid under her blouse, finding bare skin. She gasped against his mouth, arching into him. God, you're beautiful, he breathed against her throat. His mouth moved lower. His hand traced her rib cage, her waist, her hip. Every touch set her on fire. River, when I touch you, he whispered against her collarbone. The word you'll scream is mine. The words from the wine cellar, the promise he'd made in darkness. Say it, he demanded, pulling back to look at her. His eyes were dark, intense, hungry. Say you're mine. Reality crashed in. She was on his couch. His hands were on her skin. She'd known him for barely 24 hours, and she was ready to give him everything. Terror seized her chest. I can't. She pushed at him, hard. I can't do this. Naledi. No, she scrambled out from under him, standing on shaking legs. This is insane. We met yesterday. Yesterday you spilled champagne on me. Today I'm in your apartment letting you. She grabbed her bag. I need to leave. Don't run from this. I'm not running. I'm being smart. But even as she said it, she was backing toward the door. We got caught up in the investigation and the proximity and the adrenaline. That's all this is. That's bullshit and you know it. Maybe, but I can't. Her voice cracked. I lost everything once. My sister, my home, my safety. I built walls for a reason. And you're asking me to tear them all down after one day. I'm asking you to take a chance. On what? On you? On this? She gestured between them. There is no this. There's just two people who happen to be attracted to each other while investigating the same story. The words hurt to say, hurt worse seeing them land on him. If that's what you need to believe right now, fine. He stayed on the couch. Didn't chase her. But Naledi, when you're ready to stop lying to yourself, I'll be here. She left without another word. In the elevator, she touched her lips where his mouth had been, felt the ghost of his hands on her skin. She'd done the right thing, the smart thing. So why did it feel like the biggest mistake of her life? The Uber ride home was torture. Every red light felt like the universe giving her time to turn around. She didn't. In her apartment, she paced, tried to work, couldn't focus, tried to sleep, couldn't do that either. Her phone buzzed at midnight. River, I'm not giving up on you. Just so you know, sleep well, beautiful. She stared at the message. Should ignore it, should maintain the distance she just created. Her fingers moved. Naledi, you should give up on me. I'm not worth the trouble. River, let me decide what you're worth. Naledi, you're worth everything. She threw her phone across the room and buried her face in her hands. What was she doing? Why was she running from the first person who'd made her feel alive in 3 years? Because alive meant vulnerable. Vulnerable meant he could hurt her, leave her, die like a Malay and leave her alone again. She couldn't survive that twice. Her phone rang at 7 a.m., jarring her from restless half-sleep. Her supervisor. Her stomach dropped. So, Dr. Kumalo, I'm calling to inform you that your security clearance has been suspended pending an internal investigation. She sat up fast. What? What investigation? We've received documentation from multiple anonymous sources indicating systematic falsification in your development fund reports over the past 3 months. That's impossible. I haven't falsified anything. Nevertheless, the allegations are serious. You're suspended effective immediately. Please return your credentials to security this morning. This is a setup. Someone is trying to discredit me because I'm getting close to... Dr. Kumalo, I suggest you retain legal counsel. This conversation is over. The line went dead. Naledi stared at her phone. 3 years of work, her entire career, her reputation, gone. With shaking hands, she pulled up news sites. The headlines hit like physical blows. World Bank analyst under investigation for fraud. Dr. Naledi Kumalo accused of falsifying development reports. South African economist faces criminal charges in aid scandal. Someone had destroyed her, systematically, professionally, completely. Her phone rang again. River. She almost didn't answer, but she needed someone. Anyone. Hello? Her voice came out broken. I just saw the news. His voice was tight with fury. Naledi, this is a hit job. Someone's trying to silence you because you're close to exposing them. They succeeded. I'm suspended. My career is over. Everything I've worked for is... No, we fight back. We find who did this, and we expose them. River, I'm toxic now. You can't be associated with me. It'll destroy your career too. I don't care about my career. You should. Your father is calling right now. Hold on. She heard him answer another call, heard Senator Choi's voice, angry and demanding, even through the phone. Are you insane, River? That woman is under investigation for fraud and you're defending her? Because she's innocent. Someone is framing her to stop the investigation. Or she's exactly what they're saying and you're too infatuated to see clearly. This ends now. You will distance yourself from her immediately. You will issue a public statement disavowing any connection to her or her work, or you are no longer welcome in this family. Silence. Naledi held her breath. Then River's voice, calm and absolutely certain. Then I guess I'm no longer part of this family. What did you say? I said no. I'm not abandoning her. I'm not walking away from this story. And if you're involved in this fraud, Father, I will expose you along with everyone else. You ungrateful. River ended the call. Naledi's hands were shaking. River, you can't. Your father just disowned you because of me. He made his choice. I made mine. His voice was closer now, urgent. I'm coming over. Don't argue. I'll be there in 10 minutes. River, 10 minutes, Naledi, and then we're figuring this out together, whether you like it or not. He hung up. She sat there, her world collapsing around her, and felt something crack open in her chest. She'd pushed him away last night, run from what she felt because it terrified her. And he'd chosen her anyway. When her doorbell rang 8 minutes later, she opened it to find River standing there with 2 coffees and a fierce expression. You ran last night, he said without preamble. I get it. You're scared. So am I. But we don't have the luxury of fear anymore. Someone is destroying both of us, and we need to fight back, together. Both of us? He pulled out his phone, showed her a news alert. Senator James Choi under investigation. Son allegedly provided evidence. Her blood went cold. They're framing you too, making it look like I betrayed my father to protect you, discrediting both of us so anything we say loses credibility. He stepped into her apartment. This was planned, Naledi, all of it. They knew we were getting close. So they destroyed us before we could expose them. Her mind raced through implications. Your father is probably involved, but he's not the mastermind. He's too obvious. River set down the coffees, pulled her close. I need you to stop running. From this investigation, from me, from whatever this is between us. I'm terrified, she whispered against his chest. Me too. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe and alone. He pulled back, cupped her face. Last night when you said there's no us, you were wrong. There's been an us since the moment you called me out at that gala, since the wine cellar. Since you looked at me like you could see through every lie I tell myself. River, I'm not giving up on you, or on this. So you can keep running, but I'll just keep showing up. She looked up at him, at the certainty in his eyes, at the man who just sacrificed his family for her. Okay, she breathed. Okay, no more running. Promise? Promise. He kissed her, soft, sweet, full of promise. When they broke apart, she kept her forehead pressed to his. Now what? Now we fight back. We have maybe a day before they finish burying us. So we find the truth first. His phone rang, his editor. River, the Herald is getting serious pressure to terminate you. Conflict of interest, unethical conduct, betraying sources. The board meets in 24 hours to decide your fate. I understand. Do you have anything? Anything that proves you didn't leak information about your father? Not yet, but I will. 24 hours, River. That's all I can give you. The call ended. He looked at her. One day to find the truth before we both lose everything. Then we better work fast. She grabbed her laptop. Because I'm not going down without a fight. That's my girl, he said, and the words sent warmth through her chest. They worked through the morning, cross-referencing documents, following new leads, building a timeline of the fraud that pointed to someone beyond River's father. Around noon, Naletti's phone buzzed with a news alert. Her hands started shaking. "What is it?" River asked. She turned the screen toward him. "Breaking: Senator James Choi arrested in connection to $50 million development fund fraud." Below it, photos of his father in handcuffs being led from his home, financial documents, shell company records, everything they'd been investigating. And at the bottom, sources close to the investigation suggest Senator Choi's son, journalist River Choi, may have provided the evidence that led to his father's arrest. River's face went white. No, I didn't. I would never." "I know." Naletti grabbed his hands. "I know you didn't, but they're making it look like you did, like you turned on your own father. This is the final play." His voice was hollow. "Destroy my credibility completely. Make me look like a vindictive son who framed his own father, while closing the investigation before it goes any deeper." Naletti's mind was racing. "River, your father being arrested is convenient. Too convenient. It gives them a scapegoat and shuts down any further inquiry. But who? Who has enough power to orchestrate all this?" Before she could answer, River's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on the speaker. A digitally altered voice filled the room. "You're both very clever. Too clever for your own good. Senator Choi was a useful pawn, but he's served his purpose. Drop the investigation now, or the consequences will be far worse than ruined careers. You have 12 hours to comply." The line went dead. Naletti and River stared at each other. "They just threatened us," she whispered. "Good." His jaw set with determination. "That means we're close to something they're desperate to hide. Or we're about to get ourselves killed like my sister." "Possibly." He pulled her close. "But I'm not backing down. Are you?" She thought about Amale, about 3 years of running, about building walls that kept her safe but also kept her utterly alone. About River, who'd sacrificed everything to stand beside her. "No," she said firmly, "I'm not backing down." "Then we have 12 hours to expose whoever is behind this." He kissed her, hard and desperate and full of everything they hadn't said yet. When they broke apart, she touched his face. "River, I'm sorry I ran last night. You came back. That's what matters. If we survive this, when we survive this," he corrected. "When we survive this, we need to talk about whatever this is between us." "I already know what it is." His eyes held hers. "Question is whether you're ready to admit it." Her heart was pounding. "What is it?" "Everything," he said simply. "You're everything." Before she could respond, his laptop chimed with an alert. They both turned to look. A new email from his source at Livingston and Hayes. Subject: "You need to see this now." Attached were documents, financial records, names, a complete list of everyone who'd received money from the fraudulent development funds. And at the top of the list, a name that made them both freeze. Not Senator Choi. Someone much more powerful. Someone who could orchestrate everything they'd experienced. "Oh my God," Naletti breathed. "We were right. Your father was just a pawn. And now we know who's really behind this." River's hands were shaking as he opened more files. "But if we expose this person, we're declaring war on one of the most powerful people in Washington. Then we better make sure we win." Their eyes met. No more running. No more fear. Just two people against a system designed to destroy anyone who challenged it. Together. "We need to go public with this. Now." River was already pulling up his editor's contact. Naletti grabbed his wrist. "Wait. If we expose this person without ironclad proof, they'll destroy us completely. We need more than just financial records from an anonymous source. We don't have time for more. They gave us 12 hours, which is exactly why we need to be smart." She pulled up the documents on her laptop. "Look at the pattern. Every payment was routed through a different shell company, but they all trace back to one holding company. If we can access the holding company's actual bank records, that requires a warrant, which requires law enforcement, who won't believe us because we're both discredited. Then we find another way. River's phone exploded with notifications, then hers, then both their laptops. What the? River opened the alerts. News headlines flooded every major outlet. Journalist River Choi, vendetta against father or pursuit of truth. World Bank analyst and senator's son, romantic conspiracy. Naledi Kumalo faces deportation as visa status questioned. That last one made her blood freeze. Deportation? She clicked the article. Her hands started shaking. They're claiming my visa was obtained fraudulently, that I misrepresented my credentials when I applied for my work authorization. That's insane. You have a PhD from LSE. It doesn't matter what's true. They're attacking from every angle. Her phone rang. Immigration Services. Her stomach dropped. I have to take this. Dr. Kumalo, this is Officer Webster from USCIS. I'm calling to inform you that your work authorization is under review. You'll need to appear for a hearing within 72 hours or face immediate deportation proceedings. This is retaliation. Someone is manufacturing evidence against me. Nevertheless, the hearing is mandatory. Failure to appear will result in automatic deportation. The call ended. Naledi stared at her phone. They're trying to force me out of the country. If I'm deported, I can't testify, can't provide evidence, can't fight back. You're not going anywhere. River pulled her close. We'll get you a lawyer, the best immigration attorney in D.C. With what money? I'm suspended. I have maybe 3 months of savings. Her voice cracked. River, they're winning. They're systematically destroying everything I built. Then we destroy them first. His phone rang. Unknown number again. This time, River recorded before answering on speaker. The same digitally altered voice. I see you haven't learned your lesson. Senator Choi's arrest was a warning. The deportation proceedings are the next step. But we can make this all go away. Drop the investigation. Leave D.C. Forget everything you've discovered. You have 6 hours to comply. And if we don't, River's voice was hard, then we stop being gentle. You both have people you care about, colleagues, friends, family members in South Africa, perhaps. It would be unfortunate if something happened to them. The line went dead. Naledi's entire body went cold. They just threatened my parents who have nothing to do with this. They're bluffing. Are they? My sister died because I pushed too hard. I won't let that happen to my parents. She grabbed her laptop, started shutting it down. We need to stop. We need to... No. River caught her hands. That's exactly what they want. They want us scared, want us to give up. Then they win. Because I'm terrified, River. Her voice rose. I've already lost my sister. I can't lose my parents too. I can't... Hey, look at me. He cupped her face. We're not giving up, but we're also not stupid. We need help. Real help. Someone with actual power who can protect us while we finish this. Who? Everyone with power is either involved or too scared to help. Not everyone. He pulled up a contact on his phone. There's someone I trust. Someone who's been wanting to take down corruption in Washington for years, but hasn't had the evidence. If we give her what we have, she can protect us while she builds the case. Her? District Attorney Keisha Williams. She's been investigating congressional corruption for 18 months. This is exactly what she needs. And you trust her? With my life and yours. He was already dialing. Keisha, it's River Choi. I need to meet with you immediately. I have evidence of fraud involving development funds and multiple senators. Yes, including my father. No, I didn't leak anything. Because someone set me up and they're coming after both of us. Can you meet in an hour? Your office? We'll be there. He hung up, grabbed his keys. Come on, we're going to the DA's office. If anyone tries to stop us, they'll have to do it in front of witnesses. River, trust me, please. She did. God help her, she did. They were in his car halfway to the DA's office when Naledi's phone rang. Thandiwe, her friend from the embassy gala. Naledi, oh my God, are you okay? I've been seeing the news and I can't believe. I'm fine. It's all lies, Thandiwe. Someone is trying to silence me. I know. That's why I'm calling. I think I know who. Her friend's voice dropped to a whisper. Remember my boss, Lionel Vance, the deputy director of international development? Naletti's blood went cold. Lionel Vance. She knew that name. What about him? He's been asking about you, about your investigation. Wanted to know what you'd found, who you talked to. I thought it was just normal oversight. But after seeing the news, Naletti, I think he's involved. And I think he knows I'm suspicious because he just put me on administrative leave. Thandiwe, you need to be careful. There's more. I have access to his calendar. He has a meeting scheduled in 2 hours at the Watergate with someone named Dmitry Kozlov. River's head whipped toward her. He'd heard the name through the car speakers. That's my editor, he said slowly. My editor at the Herald. The pieces clicked into place, horrifyingly, perfectly. Your editor has been guiding your investigation, Naletti breathed, feeding you just enough information to keep you busy, but steering you away from the real story. And when we got too close anyway, he helped orchestrate our destruction. River's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Dimitri's been my mentor for 5 years. I trusted him with everything. That's why he was perfect. He could control what you published, what leads you followed, who you talked to. She turned to Thandiwe on the phone. Can you forward me his calendar? All of it. Already done. Naletti, be careful. If Vance finds out I sent this, get somewhere safe, somewhere public with lots of people. Don't go home. Don't be alone. Okay, I will. Good luck. The call ended. River pulled over to the side of the road, his hands shaking. Dmitri, Jesus Christ, I told him everything, every source, every lead, every piece of evidence I found, which is how they stayed one step ahead. Naletti pulled up the calendar Thandiwe had sent. Look at this. Dimitri's been meeting with Vance weekly for 6 months, and with your father's chief of staff, and with representatives from every shell company we've been investigating. He's the spider at the center of the web. River's voice was hollow. Using his position at the Herald to control the narrative. Using me to identify threats before they became dangerous. And now he's meeting with Vance in 2 hours, probably to coordinate the final phase of destroying us. Their eyes met. We crashed that meeting, River said. Record everything, get him on tape admitting what he's done. That's insane. If they catch us, they're going to destroy us anyway. At least this way we go down fighting. He pulled back onto the road. First, we drop this evidence with D.A. Williams. Make sure someone has it if something happens to us. Then we go to the Watergate. This is a terrible plan. You have a better one? She didn't. 20 minutes later, they were in D.A. Williams's office. A sharp woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a steel spine. This is explosive, she said, reviewing their documents. But it's not enough for arrests. Financial records from an anonymous source won't hold up in court. I need testimony. I need witnesses who'll go on record. We can testify, Naletti said. You're both discredited. Defense attorneys would shred you on the stand. Williams leaned forward. But if you can get Vance or Kozlov on tape admitting their involvement, that changes everything. That's usable evidence. We're planning to try. They're meeting at the Watergate in 90 minutes. Williams' eyes widened. That's incredibly dangerous. It's also our only option, River said. They've given us 6 hours to drop the investigation or face consequences. We're running out of time. Then you'll wear wires. If this goes bad, I want evidence of what happened. She pulled equipment from her desk. And you take backup. I'll have undercover officers in the hotel. If things go sideways, they'll intervene. They can't know you're involved, Naletti said. If Vance finds out the DA's office is watching, he won't. My people are good. Williams started fitting Naletti with a wire. But you need to be smart. Get him talking. Get him comfortable. Don't push too hard or he'll get suspicious. 20 minutes later, they were wired and heading to the Watergate Hotel. In the car, River grabbed her hand. If this goes bad, it won't. But if it does, I need you to know. He pulled over again, turned to face her. I love you. I know it's fast. I know it's insane. But I've loved you since you called me shallow garbage at that gala. Since the wine cellar. Since you trusted me enough to show me your investigation. Her throat went tight. River, You don't have to say it back. I just need you to know. Whatever happens in there, you're the best thing that's happened to me in years. You reminded me who I'm supposed to be. Tears burned her eyes. I love you too, and I'm terrified of it. But I do. He kissed her, deep and desperate and full of promise. When they broke apart, she touched his face. Let's go expose these bastards. Together? Always. They walked into the Watergate Hotel holding hands. Two people against an empire of corruption, armed with nothing but love and fury and a wire. The hotel bar was elegant and quiet. Naledi spotted Vance immediately. Her boss, the man she'd worked for, respected, trusted. Dmitry Kozlov sat across from him. River's mentor, his friend. I can't believe we're doing this, River whispered. Too late to back out now. They approached the table. Both men looked up. Shock flashed across their faces. River, Dr. Kumalo. Dmitry recovered first, his smile smooth. This is unexpected. Is it? River pulled out a chair, sat down uninvited. Naledi followed his lead. We know everything, Dmitry. The shell companies, the development funds, the systematic destruction of anyone who got close to the truth. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? Naledi pulled out her phone, showed him the calendar. Thandiwe and Kosi forwarded this to me. 6 months of meetings between you and Vance, coordinating how to control our investigations, how to keep us chasing dead ends while you move money through companies you own. Vance stood. This conversation is over. And Dr. Kumalo, you're violating the terms of your suspension by contacting World Bank personnel. Sit down, River said quietly. We're not done. I don't take orders from discredited journalists who betray their own fathers. I didn't betray anyone. You framed me, made it look like I leaked information about my father's arrest to cover your own involvement. But River's voice was steady. My father was never the mastermind. He was just the useful idiot you needed to take the fall. Prove it, Dmitry said. His eyes were cold now. No more pretense of friendship. We already have. Financial records tracing everything back to your holding company. Testimony from sources at Livingston and Hayes. A complete paper trail showing how you've been stealing development funds for 3 years. Records from anonymous sources won't hold up in court. You know that, River. I taught you better than to rely on unverifiable evidence. You did teach me well. River's smile was sharp. You taught me that the best evidence is a confession. Dmitry's expression changed, understanding dawning. His hand moved toward his pocket. I wouldn't, a voice said from behind them. D.A. Williams appeared, flanked by 4 federal marshals. Lionel Vance, Dmitry Kozlov, you're both under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, witness tampering, and approximately 40 other charges we'll discuss downtown. Chaos erupted. Vance lunged for Naledi. You stupid bitch. River threw himself between them. Vance's fist connected with River's face. Hard, he went down. River! Naledi dropped beside him. The marshals swarmed. Vance was on the ground in seconds, hands cuffed behind his back. Dmitry didn't fight, just stared at River with cold hatred. You're just like your mother, Dmitry said as they pulled him to his feet. Too righteous to understand how this city really works. Look how well that turned out for her. River's face went white. What did you say? Your mother. She got too close too. Started asking questions about the same development funds. We couldn't have that. So we made sure she understood the consequences of pushing too hard. You, River lunged, but Naledi held him back. You killed her? You made it look like suicide? She killed herself. We just gave her reasons. Dmitry's smile was vicious. Destroyed her reputation. Made sure everyone she trusted abandoned her. By the end, she did our work for us. River broke free from Naledi's grip. His fist connected with Dmitry's jaw. Once, twice, the marshals pulled him off before he could land a third blow. That's enough, William said firmly. He's going to prison for the rest of his life. That's better revenge than anything you could do to him here. River's hands were shaking. Blood dripped from his knuckles. Naledi pulled him close. It's over. It's finally over. But it wasn't. As the marshals led Vance and Dimitri away, Vance turned back. You think you've won? We're not the only ones. The system is bigger than two men. They'll come for you. Maybe not today, but eventually. And next time, we won't be so gentle. Then he was gone. In the aftermath, River and Naledi sat in the hotel bar while a paramedic treated River's hand. You okay? She asked quietly. My mother. His voice was hollow. They killed my mother, and I've been working for him for 5 years, trusting him, letting him guide my career while you couldn't have known. I should have seen. River. She cupped his face, made him look at her. You exposed them. You got justice for your mother, for my sister, for everyone they hurt. At what cost? Our careers are still destroyed. You're still facing deportation. My father is still in jail for their crimes. But the truth is out. That has to count for something. Oh, it did. But right now, sitting in that hotel bar with River's blood on her hands and federal agents swarming outside, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival. Yeah, barely. 3 days later, Naledi sat in River's apartment watching news coverage of the scandal unfold. Vance and Dimitri had been formally charged with 17 counts of fraud and conspiracy. The investigation had expanded to include 12 other people, including 2 senators and multiple contractors. River's father had been released, charges dropped. The evidence showed he'd been a pawn, not a mastermind, but the damage to his reputation remained. Your father called again, Naledi said when River emerged from his bedroom. I know. I'm not ready to talk to him yet. He's your father, who chose power over everything else, who created the environment where men like Dimitri could thrive. River sat beside her. I'm not sure I can forgive that. Eventually you'll have to try. Family is complicated, but it's still family. Her phone rang. Unknown international number. Hello? Dr. Kumalo, this is Hans Muller from the United Nations Development Program. I'm calling with an opportunity we'd like to discuss with you. Her heart started pounding. An opportunity? We've been following your work on development fund accountability, particularly recent events. We're impressed by your dedication to transparency and justice. We'd like to offer you a position as senior economist in our Geneva office. Naledi's breath caught. Geneva. It's a significant promotion, substantial salary increase, full diplomatic immunity, which would resolve your current visa complications, and you'd be working directly on reforming the systems that allowed the fraud you exposed to occur in the first place. When would you need an answer? We understand this is sudden. Take a week to consider. But Dr. Kumalo, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to actually change the systems rather than just documenting their failures. The call ended. A River was watching her. What was that? A job offer in Geneva. Everything I've ever wanted professionally. She looked at him. And it would mean leaving DC, leaving you. The silence stretched between them. You should take it, River said finally. What? It's your dream job. Everything you've worked for. You can't give that up for you? She turned to face him. River, 3 days ago, you punched your mentor for me. You gave up your family for me. And now you think I should just leave? Your career is being rebuilt. Mine is still in ruins. The Herald fired me this morning. They what? Sent the termination email an hour ago. Conflict of interest, unethical conduct, all the reasons they'd been looking for. His smile was bitter. Turns out exposing your editor as a criminal mastermind doesn't make you popular in journalism. So we'll figure it out, together. That's what we said. Naledi, I can't ask you to give up Geneva for me. You're not asking. I'm choosing. She grabbed his hands. I love you. I choose you. We'll figure out the rest. What if you resent me for it later? What if you wake up in 5 years and regret giving up the UN for an unemployed journalist with no prospects? Then we'll deal with that in 5 years. She kissed him. But right now, I'm choosing us. His phone rang. His agent. River, I've had 3 book publishers contact me in the last hour. They want you to write about everything that happened. 6-figure advances, maybe 7 depending on the bidding. River's eyes widened. Book deals? You're the journalist who exposed his own mentor and brought down a corruption ring. That's a bestseller waiting to happen. Are you interested? Yes, I'm interested. Great. I'll start the bidding process. Expect calls from publishers soon. He hung up, stared at Naledi. I might have career prospects after all. See? We're figuring it out. She smiled. So about Geneva. Wait. He grabbed her hands. Before you make a final decision, there's something else. He took a deep breath. What if we both went? What? There are newspapers in Geneva, international bureaus. I could freelance, write the book, build a new career in Europe. His eyes were intense. We could start fresh. Both of us. New city, new opportunities. Together. Her heart was pounding. You'd really move to Geneva for me? I'd move anywhere for you, as long as we're together. She kissed him, long and deep and full of every emotion she couldn't quite name. When they broke apart, she was crying. Is that a yes? He asked. That's a yes to everything. Geneva. Us. Starting over together. Then we're doing this? We're doing this. They held each other while outside the world kept spinning, kept judging, kept talking about the scandal they'd exposed. But inside River's apartment, they were just two people who'd survived hell together and come out the other side choosing each other. And that was enough. For now, it was more than enough. 2 weeks later, Naledi stood in River's apartment surrounded by moving boxes. Are you sure about this? She asked for the 100th time. River looked up from packing his books. Are you asking if I'm sure about moving to Geneva with the woman I love? Or are you asking if I'm sure about leaving DC? Both. Either. I don't know, she sat on the couch. Your father finally started speaking to you again, and now we're leaving. My father and I have a lot to work through. Distance might actually help. He moved to sit beside her. Besides, he's the one who suggested I take time away. Said I need to figure out who I am outside of his shadow. That's surprisingly wise for a man who just got out of jail. He's trying. It's a start. River took her hand. What's really bothering you? I keep waiting for something to go wrong, for this to be too good to be true. Naledi, we exposed a massive corruption ring, survived multiple attempts to destroy us, fell in love in the middle of chaos, and now we're moving to Geneva together to start dream careers. That doesn't happen in real life. That's a movie. Maybe we're living in a really good movie. He pulled her close. Or maybe we fought hard enough that we earned our happy ending. Do happy endings exist? We're about to find out. Her phone rang. Her parents, video calling from Johannesburg. Mama, Naledi answered, her face lighting up. Naledi, we just got your message about Geneva and about River. We want to meet him properly before you move halfway around the world. Naledi glanced at River. They'd been planning to visit South Africa next month. We can come sooner if you need us to. Actually, we're coming to you. Her mother's smile was mischievous. We booked flights. We'll be in DC in 3 days. What? Mama, that's expensive. Our daughter exposed corruption that made international news and fell in love. We're not missing this. Her father appeared on screen. Besides, we want to make sure this man deserves you before you run off to Europe with him. River leaned into a frame. Mr. and Mrs. Kumalo, I'm River, and I promise you, I don't deserve your daughter. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to. Her mother's expression softened. Oh, I like him already. After the call ended, Naledi turned to River. My parents are coming to meet you in 3 days. I heard. He looked nervous for the first time since she'd met him. Should I be terrified? Absolutely. My father once made my high school boyfriend cry. Great. That's great. I'm not at all panicking. She laughed, kissed him. You expose corruption rings. You can handle my parents. Corruption rings are easier. They don't determine whether I'm good enough for the woman I love. 3 days later, River stood in Reagan National Airport holding flowers and trying not to look as nervous as he felt. Stop fidgeting, Naledi said, squeezing his hand. I'm not fidgeting. You've adjusted your collar 6 times in the past minute. I want to make a good impression. They're going to love you, and if they don't, I'm still choosing you. Her parents emerged from customs. Her mother was elegant and warm, her father tall and imposing, with a professor's stern expression. Mama, Baba! Naledi ran to them. River hung back, letting them have their moment. When Naledi finally pulled away and gestured him over, he stepped forward with the flowers. Mr. and Mrs. Kumalo, it's an honor to meet you. These are for you, Mrs. Kumalo. Her mother took the flowers, studied him with sharp eyes. You're the man who turned on his own father to protect our daughter. I didn't turn on him. I exposed the truth. There's a difference. Is there? Her father's voice was hard. Family loyalty is sacred, even when family is wrong. With respect, sir, my father's loyalty to power over truth created the environment where my mother was destroyed. I won't make that same mistake. Silence. Naledi held her breath. Then her father smiled. Good answer. Let's go. I'm hungry and I want to hear everything about how you two met. Over dinner at Founding Farmers, River told the story, the gala, the champagne, Naledi calling him shallow in front of everyone. I knew immediately she was going to change my life, he said. I just didn't know she'd save it too. I didn't save anything, Naledi protested. You reminded me why I became a journalist, why truth matters, why some things are worth risking everything for. His hand found hers under the table, including you. Her mother dabbed at her eyes. Oh, you two are going to make me cry. Wait until you hear about Geneva, Naledi said. We're both moving there next month. Together? Her father raised an eyebrow. Yes, sir. I got a job at the Herald's International Bureau. Naledi accepted the UN position. Living together? Eventually. River took a deep breath. He'd been planning to do this at dinner, but her father's stern expression was making him nervous. Better to address it directly. Actually, sir, I was hoping to ask your permission for something. River, you don't have to, Naledi started. Yes, I do. He turned to her father. Mr. Kumalo, I know we just met. I know this is fast, but I love your daughter more than I thought possible to love anyone. She makes me better, makes me braver, makes me want to be worthy of her. I'd like your blessing to ask her to marry me. Dead silence. Naledi's hands covered her mouth. Her father studied River for a long moment. You're asking to marry my daughter after knowing her for 3 weeks? I'm asking for your blessing, sir. The timeline is between Naledi and me. And if I say no, then I'll keep trying to earn your trust. But I won't stop loving your daughter. Another long silence, then her father smiled. You remind me of myself 30 years ago, when I asked Naledi's grandfather if I could marry his daughter after knowing her 2 months. He extended his hand. You have my blessing, River. Take care of her. River shook his hand, relief flooding through him. I promise I will. Baba, Naledi was crying now. You said yes. He loves you. That's obvious to anyone with eyes. And you love him. That's even more obvious. Her father's expression softened. After everything you've been through, my daughter, you deserve happiness. Don't let fear stop you from taking it. River turned to Naledi. Right there in the restaurant, he got down on one knee. I was going to wait. Do this properly. But your father's right. Life is too short to wait for perfect moments. He pulled out a ring box. Inside was a simple gold band with a small diamond. This was my mother's, the only thing of hers I kept. I'd be honored if you'd wear it. Naledi was fully crying now. River. Marry me, Naledi. In Geneva or DC or South Africa or anywhere in the world. Just marry me. Yes. She pulled him up, kissed him while the whole restaurant watched and applauded. Yes, of course, yes. He slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. We're getting married, she breathed against his lips. We're getting married, he confirmed. Her mother was openly sobbing. I'm so happy. Oh, my babies, I'm so happy. That night, back at River's apartment with her parents settled in a hotel, Naledi lay in bed tracing the ring on her finger. I can't believe we're engaged, she whispered. Having second thoughts? Never, just amazed. A month ago, I was alone, working too hard, convinced I'd never let anyone in again. And now you're stuck with me forever. Best decision I ever made. She rolled over to face him. When should we get married? Before we leave for Geneva? That gives us 3 weeks. That's insane. No one plans a wedding in 3 weeks. Why not? We don't need anything big. Just us, our families, people who matter. You're serious. Completely. I want to start our new life in Geneva as your husband. Not your boyfriend, not your fiancé, your husband. She kissed him. 3 weeks then. Let's do it. They planned the wedding in a fever dream of activity. Naledi's parents extended their stay. River's father flew in from Virginia, nervous and apologetic. They found a small venue in Rock Creek Park. Simple decorations, 50 guests. Nothing fancy. Just real. The morning of the wedding, Naledi stood in the bridal suite with her mother, staring at her reflection. The dress was ivory silk, simple and elegant. Her natural hair was styled in soft curls. Her mother's pearl necklace at her throat. You look beautiful, her mother said, tears already streaming. I look terrified. That's normal. I was terrified when I married your father. Really? Marriage is terrifying. You're trusting someone with your whole heart, promising forever when nothing in life is certain. Her mother squeezed her shoulders. But it's also the bravest thing you'll ever do. And if the person is worth it, and River is worth it, then the fear is just proof you're doing something that matters. What if I mess this up? You won't. And if you do, you'll fix it together. That's what marriage is. Fixing mistakes together. A knock on the door. Tandiwe poked her head in. They're ready for you. Naledi took a deep breath. Okay, let's do this. Her father waited outside, looking distinguished in his suit. When he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. Oh, Naledi, you look just like your mother on our wedding day. Don't make me cry. I'll ruin my makeup. Too late, he offered his arm. Ready? Ready. They walked down the aisle together, past River's colleagues from journalism, past World Bank friends who'd stood by Naledi during the scandal, past D.A. Williams, who'd made the arrest possible, past family and friends who'd supported them through everything. And at the end, River stood in a charcoal suit, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. When their eyes met, her fear evaporated. This was right. This was real. Her father placed her hand in River's. Take care of my daughter. I promise, River said. The ceremony was simple. Traditional vows, nothing fancy. But when River said, I do, his voice broke with emotion. And when Naledi said, I do, she meant it with every cell in her body. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. River didn't wait for the finish. He pulled Naledi close and kissed her like they had all the time in the world and no time at all. We're married, he whispered against her lips. We're married, she agreed. The reception was perfect. Dancing under string lights. Toasts that made everyone cry and laugh. River's father apologizing to Naledi's parents for everything his family put her through. Her mother welcoming him anyway, because that's what family does. Late in the evening, River pulled Naledi away from the crowd, led her to a quiet corner of the park. What are you doing? She laughed. I need a minute alone with my wife. He kissed her forehead. Just to remind myself this is real. It's real. She wrapped her arms around his neck. We did it. We survived everything, and we're here. Together. Always together. They swayed to music only they could hear, wrapped in each other, starting the rest of their lives. 6 months later, Naledi stood at the window of their Geneva apartment, watching snow fall over Lake Geneva. Coffee's ready, River called from the kitchen. She turned, smiling. The apartment was beautiful, modern and bright with views of the lake and mountains. Nothing like her cramped DC studio. This was home now. River appeared with 2 mugs, handed her one. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Too excited about today. Today was her big presentation to the UN General Assembly. 6 months of work culminating in policy recommendations that could actually change how development funds were tracked and distributed. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. What if they hate it? They won't. You've been working on this since we got here. It's brilliant. He kissed her temple. And I'll be in the audience cheering embarrassingly loud. You're supposed to be working on your book. I am. This is research. Watching my brilliant wife change the world. His book, an expose of the corruption they uncovered, had been climbing bestseller lists for 3 months. Publishers were already asking about a second book. They were both thriving. River? She set down her coffee, turned to face him. I need to tell you something. His expression shifted, concerned. What is it? I'm pregnant. Silence. Complete silence. Then his face broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. We're having a baby. I found out yesterday. I wanted to wait until after my presentation to tell you, but I can't. I'm too excited and terrified. And he kissed her, lifted her off the ground, spun her around. We're having a baby. Put me down. You're going to make me dizzy. He set her down gently, immediately worried. Sorry. Are you okay? Do you need to sit? Should you be standing? She laughed. I'm pregnant, not fragile. I know, He cupped her face. I can't believe this. We're going to be parents. Are you happy? Happy? Naledi, there aren't words. This is everything. Even though it's sooner than we planned? Especially because it's sooner. Life doesn't wait for perfect timing. We learned that already. He placed his hand on her still flat stomach. Our baby, yours and mine. Half South African, half Korean American, born in Geneva. They're going to be so confused about their identity. They're going to be perfect. That night after her presentation was a massive success, and they'd celebrated with champagne, sparkling cider for her. They lay in bed talking about names and nurseries and all the terrifying, beautiful things coming. I never thought I'd have this, Naledi admitted. Family, home, someone who sees all of me and loves me anyway. I see you, every part, the brilliant economist, the fierce fighter, the woman who ran from me and came back, the wife who makes me better, the mother of my child. He kissed her. And I love every single part. Even the part that gets scared and wants to run, especially that part, because that part is human, real, the part that makes you brave for choosing to stay despite the fear. 1 year later, they stood in Washington, D.C. for River's book launch party. Their daughter, Amale, named for Naledi's sister, was 6 months old, sleeping peacefully in her stroller. The party was at the South African embassy, full circle from where they'd met. This feels surreal, Naledi said, looking around the same ballroom where River had spilled champagne on her 2 years ago. Good surreal or bad surreal? Perfect surreal. She squeezed his hand. Remember what you said to me in the wine cellar? That when I touched you, you'd scream my name? His grin was wicked. You're impossible. And yet you married me. Worst decision of my life, she teased. Liar. Best decision. Happy? Always. They mingled through the party. River's book had won awards, sparked congressional investigations, led to real reform. Naledi's UN work was changing how development funds were monitored globally. They'd both gotten justice for the people they'd lost, for River's mother, for Naledi's sister, and they'd found each other in the process. Late in the evening, they slipped away to the same wine cellar where everything had changed. We shouldn't leave Amale upstairs, Naledi protested. Tandiwe has her. We have 5 minutes. River pulled her close. I wanted to come back here, to where it started. It started with you spilling champagne on me. It started with you calling me out on my bullshit, with you being brave enough to see through me, and you being brave enough to chase me even when I ran. I'd chase you anywhere. He cupped her face. For the rest of our lives, I'll keep chasing you. You already caught me. Did I? His smile was soft. Because sometimes I wake up and can't believe you're real, that we survived everything, that we're here, married, with a daughter, living a life I never dreamed possible. We're real. This is real. She kissed him. And we earned it. We did. He held her close, between two worlds, beyond all borders. Just like your channel's tagline. What? Nothing. Just thinking about how some love stories start with a collision, with two people from different worlds crashing together so violently they create something entirely new. And ours started with champagne and anger and a wine cellar in the dark, with you being terrified and me being arrogant, with both of us broken and scared. And now we're here, whole, together, raising a daughter who'll never doubt she's loved. He kissed her forehead. Now we're proof that the most dangerous thing you can do is fall in love with exactly the person who'll set your whole life on fire. River Choi, are you getting poetic on me? I'm getting honest. His eyes held hers. You set my life on fire, burned down everything I thought I knew. And from those ashes, we built something real. We did, didn't we? Yeah, we really did. Upstairs, the party continued. Downstairs in the wine cellar where they'd almost kissed 2 years ago, River and Naledi held each other and remembered how far they'd come. From collision to connection. From fear to trust. From two broken people to one whole family. They'd fought corruption and won. They'd exposed truth and survived. They'd chosen each other again and again when the world told them to run. And now, standing in the same place where it all began, they had everything. Not because life was perfect, it wasn't. But because they decided that fighting together was better than being safe alone. That love, real love, was worth every risk. That between two worlds, beyond all borders, the bravest thing you can do is open your heart and trust someone with the broken pieces. Ready to go back up? Naledi asked eventually. 1 more minute. River pulled her closer. Just 1 more minute in the place where everything changed. She melted into him, breathing in the moment. The memory. The man who'd become her everything. Okay, she whispered. 1 more minute. And in that minute, in that wine cellar, they were just River and Naledi again. Two people who'd collided and crashed and burned and risen from the ashes together. Just two people who'd chosen love over fear. Together over safe. Forever over easy. And that was more than enough. That was everything. Lovies, if this story set your heart on fire, hit that like button and subscribe for more tearjerkers, heartbreakers, and game changers. Tell us in the comments, would you risk everything for love like Naledi and River did? Would you choose the person over the safe path? And where are you watching from? We love seeing our Afro-Seoul family grow across the globe, between two worlds, beyond all borders. That's not just our watchword, that's our promise. This is what we do here. We bring you love stories that break you and put you back together stronger. Stories that remind you that the most dangerous thing and the most beautiful thing is loving someone enough to let them burn down your walls and build something new from the ashes. Thank you for being here, for believing in love that changes everything, for being part of this journey. Keep fighting for your happiness, lovies. Keep choosing brave. We'll see you in the next story.